All right, welcome everyone. Let's get right into it. You're here to get ready for your exams, so we're going to make this count. We are going to break down the essential concepts of phraseology. Think of this as your final review to really lock in these key ideas. So let's get started.
Okay, let's kick things off with a little puzzle, one that really gets to the core of what we're studying today. Why are some phrases so rigid, so unbreakable? Why does spill the beans sound totally normal, but if you change it to spill the bean, even if you're only talking about one secret, it just sounds wrong? The answer to that question is pretty much the key to this whole topic.
And the answer lies right here, in the field of phraseology. It's all about these pre-made, prefabricated chunks of language that we use all the time without even thinking about it. These fixed expressions have meanings that aren't just a simple sum of their parts, and that's exactly why you can't just swap words in and out whenever you feel like it. Now, for your test, this next part is absolutely crucial. You need to understand that linguists look at these fixed phrases from two very different angles. Knowing these two main approaches is going to be essential for any analysis you have to do, because they give you two totally different toolkits for figuring these things out.
This slide does a fantastic job of simplifying the two major schools of thought. So on one hand, you have the traditional approach. Think of this like a language detective. It's a top-down view, actively hunting for those special, unique cases, the idioms, and separating them out from regular free phrases. But then you have the frequency-based approach, which is more like a language data scientist. It works from the bottom up. It sifts through huge databases of text, looking for statistical patterns in all the words that tend to appear together, not just the special ones. Building on that, let's drill down into the core vocabulary you're definitely going to need for the exam. Getting these next two terms straight is fundamental. We'll start with the concept that makes idioms, well, so idiomatic. So the key idea here is idiomaticity. This is really the magic ingredient. It's that moment when a phrase like beat around the bush stops being just four separate words and starts acting like a single chunk of meaning, a chunk that means to avoid the topic. It behaves like one word, even though it's made of many. Now, collocation, that's a broader, more general idea. It's not always about some hidden figurative meaning. It's simply about words that have a habit of showing up together. You can think of them as word partners. They're just statistically likely to be found in the same sentence. It's like they have a strong magnetic attraction to each other. And this famous quote from the linguist J.R. Firth just captures the idea perfectly. You shall know a word by the company it keeps. Honestly, this is the best way to remember what collocation is. The words around another word, the company it keeps, they help define its meaning and tell you how to use it properly. And here is a perfect real-world example of collocation in action. Rancid and sour can both mean spoiled, right? But you can't just use them interchangeably. Rancid keeps company with butter and bacon, while sour keeps company with milk. And there's no deep logical reason for it. It's just a convention of the language. That's collocation. Okay, now that we've got the basics down, let's really dissect the idiom itself. Understanding these specific features is a classic exam topic, so this is definitely a part where you'll want to pay close attention. Think of this as your diagnostic checklist for identifying a true idiom. Now, notice that conventionality is the only obligatory feature. The meaning simply has to be unpredictable from its parts. But also pay close attention to formal inflexibility. This is key. It's the reason we can't say, kick the buckets, or make it passive, like the bucket was kicked by him. Idioms are, to some degree, syntactically frozen. The other features here, figuration, proverbiality, informality, and effect, they're common, but they're not absolutely required. Okay, another key skill you're going to need for the test is being able to classify these expressions. See, not all idioms are created equal. Some are way harder to figure out than others, and we actually classify them based on how easy their meaning is to guess. This table is a fantastic study tool. It really lays out the whole spectrum. So on one end, you have opaque idioms like red herring. There's really no logical connection there. It's impossible to guess. Then you get into the semi-opaque and semi-transparent ones, where you might be able to figure it out using context or a metaphor like add fuel to the fire. And finally, you have transparent expressions which are fixed, but their meaning is pretty clear from the words themselves. All right, let's put all of this together into a practical toolkit that you can actually use for analysis on your exam. And to do that, we're going to circle back to that frequency-based approach we talked about earlier.
The real beauty of this approach is its simplicity. It doesn't get bogged down in how idiomatic a phrase is or isn't. Instead, it just asks a very simple question. What is this phrase doing in the sentence? It classifies all of these set phrases, which it calls phrasemes, based on their job or their function in the conversation. And here they are, the three main functions you need to know. First, you have referential phrasemes. These just name things or actions, like heavy rain or to bark up the wrong tree. Second, you've got textual phrasemes. These are like the linguistic glue that connects our ideas. Think in addition to or what is more. And third, communicative phrasemes, which perform a social action, like saying happy birthday or to be honest. So when you see a phrase on the test, just ask yourself, is it naming something, connecting something, or doing something? So, as we wrap up this review, here's your final thought. The absolute best way to make these concepts stick is to just start listening for them. Listen for these hidden rules, these unbreakable phrases in the conversations happening all around you. I promise you're going to start hearing them everywhere. Okay, that's it for now. Good luck on your test.